I'm joined now by Linda Smith, the abundance coach, and she's going to be talking to us about financial abundance and how to go about creating the abundance in your life. Linda, a very warm welcome and thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, Linda, we've spoken on a previous occasion about your work. Can you tell us a little bit about what your work entails?
Well, my work is really about empowering people when it comes to their money. And for many people, money has got so many different meanings, pushes up so many different feelings, and ultimately creates, I believe, a lot of stress in people's lives. And when you consider it, we actually allow in that way money to determine not only our experience of life, but even the quality of our lives. And my work is about really helping people to take their power back in the area of money, to really reclaim that and to experience abundance even in the face of difficulties. And it's been just amazing to work with people and see them taking on these ideas and principles and embracing it in their lives to an extent that there's a whole new freedom available for them. So that's what my work is about.
Now, we've spoken on a previous occasion on the show, and you mentioned that really it is all about the mindset. Is it as simple as saying, well, I'm abundant or I'm not abundant, that's going to make the difference in your finances?
Well, it starts in answering that question, it does come down to being a choice, because very often people can, have a certain amount of money, and in most cases they would consider that it's not enough, or they might even think that if they had X, Y, Z more, then things would be better. In fact, that really points to why people buy the lotto tickets, and you see people in the queues, and they obviously believing that getting all that money will make a difference, make a positive difference. And yet, statistically, we've also seen that most people who do go on to win the lotto, when it does happen, are not that much better off, a couple of years afterwards. So my approach is to rather say, consider that what you have got is in and of itself abundance, but that's where the choice lies. And while most people will look at it and go, well, no, I'm not there yet, what they're then doing again is they're delaying their sense of satisfaction and of abundance, and rather they are then effectively choosing the path of scarcity. And let's be honest, the path of scarcity is not as much fun as the path of abundance. So it lies in a choice, which really brings me to our lesson for today. So, but it lies in choice. Where are you? But it starts, and look, it's not just a choice and then you leave it at that. There's a lot of actions, and there's thoughts, and there's just awareness that does need to develop. And then it becomes actually a journey, but yet a very powerful and very empowering journey.
And I think the distinction that one needs to stress and have to make is that when you're abundant, you can give so much more. Poverty does not serve anyone.
That's absolutely correct. And if you're operating with the perception of abundance based on wherever you are right now, and not bringing a judgment of how much money do I have or how much money do I not have, you feel richer within. And when you feel richer, you feel better. And when you feel better, you can do so much more in your life, with your life, and in that way positively impact other people's lives. So it's a win-win.
Now, we've agreed that you'll be coaching me over the next few weeks, and we'll see how we can create more abundance in my life, because what I've got is a very erratic income structure because of my freelance work. And so what we agreed upon is that Linda will be coaching me over the next couple of months, and we will be keeping tabs on it and putting it on the website so that you can follow the lessons, and hopefully you can make positive changes in your finance world as well. So Linda, what are we going to do for lesson 1?
Okay, so lesson 1 today is going to start off by actually stepping into a place of acceptance of your current financial circumstances. And that also points to the abundance that we were touching on earlier. When many people look at their finances, they would often look at it in a judgmental or even critical way. And it's very easy to say, I don't have enough, or I don't earn enough, or there's not enough work out there, and beyond that, people can even say, I can't save, or my debt is overwhelming, or even I've had people say, well, budgeting just doesn't work for me. So there's a lot of resistance and misunderstanding even around people's finances. But then with that comes, you could say, a lack of acceptance. Like people believing that if it wasn't this way, Like, this way is not the way it should be, and therefore if it was a different way, that would be better. So it becomes quite frustrating. So it's not the way you might want it to be, it's the way it is. And there's a very short little quote that goes, and you probably have heard it, they say that what you resist persists. And what I'm pointing to here is that when you keep saying that there's not enough, guess what you'll continue to perpetuate? You'll actually continue to perpetuate that very experience that there's not enough. And in fact, because you're on an energetic level believing that there's not enough, that energetic level, I believe, translates to your bank account. So your bank account will show you what you believe to be not enough. And so while we are resisting our financial situation, you could actually say you're at odds with it. So there's like a discord or a disconnect, and you don't feel complete, and you certainly don't feel, wouldn't feel a sense of financial peace of mind. So acceptance, and this is why I've really brought this to be part of our first session today, I believe is the first step in shifting your current financial circumstances. So you've got to just think about, what are you resisting, and can you give that up? Can you rather embrace the way things are right now and go, okay, this is what I do have, and in fact, can you be thankful and grateful for that?
Okay, so for me, this lesson then really would say that first of all, I have to make sure that I know what I've got. And once I know what I've got, really accept that this is what I've got as a result of everything that I've done up until now. And then just be grateful for what I've achieved and what I've attained.
That's exactly right. And, when one does that, in fact, part of this exercise and part of this lesson would be the exercise of taking some time out to do exactly that, where you actually look at what you are grateful for in your life and what is working. And even if you look at your current financial circumstances and you look at your bank balance right now, you would bless it with a sense of thankfulness and gratitude. And as you think about these things, it's a very good idea to then actually write them down, to really capture on paper, and then even read them regularly. Reread them, even add to it. And in acknowledging these things, you'll start to really get a sense of all the good that already exists in your life. And what's really interesting is that, again, that's it's an energetic exercise, but it spills over into how you feel. So out of that, the next thing I'd like to then tell you about will be your homework or your actions.
Okay, so just before you carry on, so what you're saying is that the feeling that you generate within yourself about your financial state is what's going to predict your future financial state.
Exactly. It's how you feel about your money and how you feel about the amount of money you have or don't have that give you your experience in this moment today, and then again tomorrow, and so on. So
it's very difficult, because when you have no money in the bank and you have no food in your house, it's very difficult to feel good about having money. It's very difficult to feel I'm abundant when your reality says everything of the opposite. So how do you change that?
Okay, that's a really great question, and very important to actually address that, because it's like one is looking in the wrong places. So you're looking at the bank account and it may not be as healthy as you want. You may be looking in the cupboard and there's no food. And so those are, in inverted commas, real evidence of lack. And so one can very easily conclude that, therefore, I don't have enough. So it's so easy by default to draw that conclusion. But that in and of itself is, it's a mistake to slip into that trap, because it's only going to pull you down further.
Okay, but now hang on. Because in reality, if I'm in this situation of not having the money, not having the food, I can't drive my car because there's no fuel in it and there's no money for it, how do I change my mind around that? How do you get your mind to believe something different that's not there?
Well, it's about creating in your mind the future that you want to have. And so if you're so focused on the lack, simply what will be perpetuated will be that lack. And even while you've got nothing in the fridge or no petrol for your car right now, one has to actually set that reality aside, so to speak, and get creative about how you're going to shift it. Because if you sit there focusing on how bad it is, it's not going to change anything, or if anything, it's going to make you feel even worse. It's about then saying, well, asking yourself, well, what can I do? So if you don't have petrol, can you get a lift? Is there somebody who can help you out? Are there family or friends who can feed you for a day? I mean, it's getting out of the current circumstances. And in fact, that opens up another, whole aspect of how we live our lives often at the effect of our circumstances. And again, it's not easy to not be at the effect of your circumstances, but again, it's an awareness and a mindfulness that can be brought to the situation so that you can then start the process of transforming it. And it's because of the whole money aspect. It's not just the money. In fact, it's not the money. It's how we think and feel. That's why we need to address how we think and feel about it.
Well, I think what you touched on is very important, and what I just got in what you said is, if we take our focus off the fact that there's no money in the account, there's no food in the fridge, and put our focus on what it is that we want, and then look at what can I do versus what do I have, or what I don't have, for that matter. So making a list of what I can do, for example, get a lift club, ask your sister or your brother to help out with some food, or a club together, or do what is this new system, the bartering system. So I will spend so much time babysitting, or do this for you if you can, give me some food or whatever other lift or whatever else you need. And in that is what I just got, is the proof of abundance. Because when we focus on what is it that we can do, or who can we ask, we realize how abundant the universe actually is, and that we're not an island, and that we can then go out and seek for what we want elsewhere. And I think when we focus on what it is that we want, this stuff will just appear out of nowhere, and then we really get that, wow, it is so abundant.
You just got it there, Leila. Fantastic. That is exactly it. And that's where miracles happen. And people show up in our lives that open the next door and take us to the next opportunity that we're looking for. Because we are each uniquely powerful and creative. And we do not need to live our lives believing that the amount of money we have determines what's possible for us. We so don't need that. So that's why accepting where you are right now is in actual fact a validation, even of yourself, but even of what you have created so far. So instead of making it wrong and trying to push it away and wishing it wasn't like that, which then is that back to what you resist persists, you embrace it and be thankful for, even if it's 10 Rand or 5 Rand, wherever you are right now, it is okay. And in doing that, and that's the exercise that we're going to chat about in a moment, that then gives you sort of evidence to really embrace and to step into the acceptance of your current financial situation.
Okay, fantastic. So quickly, let us have a look at the lesson for session 1. And then this is something that you have to do over the next week. And then when we speak to Linda again in a week's time, we will then recap that lesson and then do session 2. So in this way, you'll be able to weekly have a look at your own stuff and what it is that you can do. You can also follow the write-ups of my exercises that I've done on the website on leilabenelli.com. Okay, so Linda, give us our first lesson for this week.
Okay, great. So over the next 6 days, I'm going to give you 2 exercises to do. And in the first day 1 to 3, I'm going to ask each of our listeners who are taking on this exercise to notice and to record in writing all the things that you're experiencing that are supporting your belief that your financial circumstances are not how they should be. So I'm actually inviting the listeners to go out there and record all the things that do pull them down and make them think, oh, there's not enough. And it might be one example I can give you might be that another bill arrives that you must pay, which you were not expecting. Or there may be an emergency expense. Somebody needs to go to the doctor, the dentist. Something happens that requires money and you feel like, well, I don't have that. Or you go to the ATM, the bank, to draw cash and discover that your bank balance is even less than what you thought it was. So over the next 3 days, take some time and allow yourself to just declare and write on paper all the things that support your belief that your financial circumstances are not where they should be. So that's the exercise for the first 3 days. Then from day 4 to 6, I'm going to ask you to switch it over. Now you're going to notice all the things that do support your belief that you can accept your current financial circumstances. And you notice the times when it all works out, where you notice the miracles that start to show up, or the opportunities that happen. And it doesn't matter how big or how small they are, and again, this comes back to awareness of noticing them. So I really invite the listeners to take some time every single day to reflect on what happened in that day, and to just identify even the smallest things that now point them towards that feeling of abundance and acceptance. And then on day 7 is then to review and compare the first 3 days' experiences to the second 3 days. And in doing that, again, it's a very personal journey and a very personal exercise. But you'll begin to see something. And it's out of that, again, awareness that you start to see, well, really, which world you want to be creating for yourself. Because the truth is that you've got what you've got. And you don't have what you haven't got. And that's just the way it is right now. But with acceptance, I believe on a true deep cellular level, acceptance of where you are right now opens the possibility of moving forward past your current financial reality. So if you're ready to do that, that's the exercise. And as you start to bring that acceptance to how you feel, you also have a recognition that money, as I said, the money that you have or you do not have, is also then not a reflection of you. Because in actual fact, the message behind this message is that you are your wealth. And we'll certainly be looking at this in more depth in our future conversations.
Linda, fantastic. Thank you so much. Do you have any workshops or any other information where they can get more details from you?
Yes, absolutely. Through my website, which is www.lindiary.com. They can drop me an email and I can let anybody know about workshops we are running in Cape Town. And then internationally, we also have got the iPhone budgeting application. So for those of you who want to really see where your money goes, it's something that you can download just clicking through our website. And by using it, you really get a true picture of what you're doing with your money. And we'll touch on more of these things in our future lessons.
Fantastic. Well, that's where we're leaving it for now. Back to the show. And Linda, thank you so much. I hope that over the next few weeks, I certainly am going to put all the effort in and make this work for me as well. So if you want to keep tabs on what's happening, go to leilabenelli.com. All Linda's information will be there. And I think we're going to sign off now, Linda. Thank you so much. I look forward to speaking to you again next week.
Wonderful. Thank you.